Okay, I think we are live. Good evening, everyone, and a very, very warm welcome to the Masterclass for Sustainability Challenge 2023. I am Shweta Matre, and I lead campus relations for L'Oreal India. I'm super excited to have all of you here today, and thank you so much for joining in. Sustainability Challenge is in its seventh edition this year, and it honestly only seems like yesterday that we launched it in 2017. Since 2017, the competition has only grown, and I say this in with all the excitement that I have that it truly is the biggest year of sustainability challenge this year for two very special reasons. This year, with Sustainability Challenge, we've truly made the scope much larger and we've decided to talk about L'Oreal for the Future, which is essentially the group's sustainability commitments. So, when we speak about L'Oreal for the Future, it's essentially the goals and ambitions that the L'Oreal Group globally has set for how we as an organization should become more sustainable in the way our business model functions. For this, we have rested the entire program on three main pillars: people, planet, and products. And this year, with Sustainability Challenge, we've decided to focus on two of these pillars, which is people and planet. Which is why in the competition you see that you had access to two cases, and we are going to talk about the two cases a little later today. Another very, very important reason why Sustainability Challenge was used this year is because of the number of registrations that we've had. We were truly overwhelmed because we had 73,837 of you registering for this competition. And it's a huge leap for us, and we are very, very happy because all of you have essentially taken the first step towards making our earth a more sustainable place to live at. And you're essentially here to help us solve how we want to do this. Now, of course, about 850 teams have made it to the next round, which is why today we are here to help you understand what the next round is and maybe help you decode the case a little bit, inspire you a little bit by what we've already been doing at L'Oreal. And maybe that will give you some sort of a spark on what your idea and your submission should be. So, today, what we intend to do is talk to you about the two cases that you have. In this round of the competition, you have access to two cases. One is the planet case, one is the people case. So for the planet case, the case is essentially around Garnier, and the people case is around L'Oreal for Youth, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But the most important element, or rather the common element between both the cases is youth. Both the cases rely heavily on youth, on Gen Z, and what they can do, or rather what you can do, and how you can help us take sustainable steps on the two programs that we have here, and how can you help us make an impact. And we'll break down the cases for you a little bit, explain what we've been doing so far, and then we'll take in your questions. Okay, so I'm going to reiterate again. From here on, you have to pick one case and find a solution around it and submit a solution. You don't have to do both cases. You have to pick one case and submit a solution. And so, without any further ado, let's begin. For the Planet case today, we have with us Vivian Gonzalez, who's going to come here and talk a little bit about what the case is all about, what is the inspiration behind the case, and what we expect from you when we are looking for solutions. So, thank you so much, Vivian, for being here. For those who don't know Vivian yet, although he's been an integral part of Sustainability Challenge for a couple of years now, Vivian is a brand manager on Garnier, and he'll talk a little bit about what he does at Garnier, and then he'll take you all through the case a little bit. So, thank you so much, Vivian, for being here, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Shweta. It's, I think, always my favorite time of the year as well when I get to do Sustainability Challenge, a cause that's definitely very close to my heart. So, hi everyone. I'm super excited to be here as always. Really thrilled to be presenting the Garnier case to you and also to talk to you and help immerse you into the world of Garnier a bit. I'm going to take the next 10 minutes to very quickly talk you through what we do at Garnier, what sustainability really means to us, what we have been doing, and what we want to do going forward, especially from this case. So it's going to be a quick conversation on all of the things that we've been able to get going. And I hope that you're thoroughly inspired and happy to go for the case as soon as it's done. Yeah. On that note, welcome to the green world of Garnier, a world that is inspired by nature, by science, a world that is caring, that is healthy, and that is beautiful at the end of the day. What we do at Garnier is that we are a brand that stands for the young generation today. We want to appeal to people who are really those who are driving consumption trends. We want to be a brand that is appealing to people like you. And because of that, we really try on all aspects to be a brand that is inclusive, a brand that is diverse, a brand that is for everyone, a brand that is for all of us. And that's what the real mission at Garnier is. And hence, in this drive to really be a brand for all of us, we are looking to be able to drive sustainability as a very core part of the belief that we have at the brand, because it's not just something that we want to do, but it is something that we really feel is essential for all of us to build a better world. It's a duty that we have as a brand, a duty that we have as human beings. So at Garnier, while it is our mission to democratize the best of products, it's also our mission to democratize the best of green beauty for everybody. Whether that be through cutting edge products which are powered by great greener formulas, which is built on the back of green science, or whether it is through sustainable innovations. Garnier is about spreading the best of green beauty to everybody around. And of course, as I said already, inclusivity is very, very core to us, whether it's in terms of who we build our products for or who we build sustainability for to help their lives get better. So this is a quick look at what we've been able to achieve so far in our sustainability journey. We believe in transparency. That's what a very core belief for the brand is. And in 2020, we started this ambitious journey called Green Beauty, which was our way of ending up with a sustainability program. That's not just one part of the value chain, but it is a complete end to end initiative that impacts every part of the value chain that Garnier has some connection with the environment on. So, whether it's from how we source our products, or whether it's in terms of what goes into those products which are given to the consumers, or how we actually impact the environment on a larger scale, from solidarity sourcing all the way to more recyclable materials. This is our way of being able to impact the environment on a large scale basis. Now, this is the global commitment. And for us, I think one of the things that is really critical is that we believe in products that are cruelty free. We've believed in this from 1989, but now we're very proud to say that we are a brand that is approved by Cruelty Free International, which is one of the strongest and most credible agencies when it comes to providing these kind of certifications. Now, while all of this is how things work at a global level, each of the countries have been able to really build their own causes when it comes to green beauty and strive to make a difference in the environments which they really operate in. So, what I'm going to try and do now over the next 5 minutes is give you all some inspiration on how a few countries have done this at a global level and also talk about how we are doing it today in India. So, one great example is from Australia on how Garnier has taken up the cause of really helping to restore the Great Barrier Reef. It's very core to the Australian culture where, life is predominantly lived on their coastlines. And hence, for them, it becomes critical to be able to really maintain and give back to the environment that is actually helping them build a business today. So can we have the video on the Great Barrier Reef, please?
The Great Barrier Reef is the largest living thing on the planet.
It stretches over 2,300 kilometers.
One of the wonders of the world. It's a very special place created to bring a lot of people together.
One of the most beautiful, complex ecosystems on the planet.
Corals are the home of over 25% of marine species. As climate change becomes more of our reality, the threats to the reef are predicted to become more and more frequent.
Mass coral bleaching events have wiped out many of the coral communities that create the reef structure. We've lost so many breeding corals, many of the reefs are failing to recover naturally.
You know, it sort of throws a lot of the other balances out.
We often see subsequent decline in species that rely on coral as their habitat.
So for the very first time, coral reefs need humans. They need our science, they need our intervention for survival. We don't enter into partnerships with anybody who doesn't care as much about the reef as we do. So this partnership with Garnier is absolute. We both want what's best for the Great Barrier Reef.
We are extremely proud to be partnering with the Great Barrier Reef Foundation. At Garnier, we've been on a journey towards greener beauty for all of us. We're helping to restore damaged coral reefs through a method that's called coral IVF. What happens every single year around November is something called coral spawning.
This entire reef explodes into light. All of the hard corals release their reproductive bundles into the water and form new baby corals.
What we hope to do with every spawning event is collect as many coral babies from these areas and in spawn catches, these great big nets, drag them over to coral reefs that simply are unable to regrow and heal themselves.
After trialing this for a number of years, we're going back to these sites and seeing dinner plate-sized corals ready to spawn themselves and help continue that regenerative process.
It's a scalable solution, and it's also a natural solution. We're just taking that natural sequence, that natural wonder, and scaling it up, and then ensuring that all of those coral babies are going to the reefs that need them most.
All these systems are so interconnected.
It's that circular balance that we have. We are them and they are us. Making sure that we look after them is a big part of how we feel connected to our country.
The thought of losing this magic is unthinkable.
Right now is the time that we should be taking action.
We can rise. This can be the new story of the Great Barrier Reef, how Australian lent in and saved her.
There is hope, and together we can make a difference.
Amazing. So I think that's a story of how Garnier is really trying to make an impact at a local level, whether it's in Australia or it's in Indonesia through an e-recycle program. Garnier is constantly on the lookout for the right partners to be able to make the right impact at every single country that we work in. And today in India, our local mission is to really tackle one of the biggest problems that today we face in India, one of the most visible issues when it comes to environmental sustainability, and that is plastic recycling. So we are very proud to say that we had set up our first and only global recycling center right here in India in Chennai, where we recycle close to 1,100 tons of plastic on a yearly basis. But this was not enough. For us, it's not just about doing, but it's also about helping to take people along with us on the journey. And for that, we really want people to take one green step, which is why we had an extension of this program on e-commerce as well as on ground, which helped consumers to be able to come in and actually deposit plastic bottles and contribute to the cause by taking one green step in a really easy manner. This was the center that we opened last year, almost a year back, which today for us recycles close to 1,100 tons of plastic. I can talk about it, but it's so much easier if you see it through a video. So can we have the video on Plastics for Change, please?
This initiative is very important for Garnier because we're committed to green beauty, and green beauty means more recycled plastic, and we're very happy to be able to scale the amount of recycled plastic we put on our products, but on top of that, doing good to the community and give it back to community like here in Chennai.
Plastics for Change has developed an ethical sourcing platform that connects those at the base of the supply chain with global brands and manufacturers to provide a consistent supply of high-quality recycled plastic from fair trade supply chains.
This operation is a first in the world and a first in India.
Now more than ever, consumers are wanting to purchase from brands that are taking action to solve some of humanity's biggest challenges. A circular economy where resources can be reused instead of ending up in the environment or ending up in the landfill.
This center has the capacity to collect 2,000 tons of plastic every year. You can see already we've started with a substantial tonnage of plastic that can be prevented to be in the ocean.
India has approximately 4 million people that are making their income from picking up these plastics, especially women that will wake up early in the morning, do the collection, but then get back in time to take care of their kids. And so the role of this is really supporting some of the women in society that have a lot of barriers to formal employment.
At Garnier, we're committed to transfer most of our plastic to recycled plastic. For example, our micellar water this year has gone 100% recycled plastic, and we'll try to do this in every single packaging we have.
So that's what we're doing here in Garnier, India, where plastic becomes a very important cause for us to really go after. We want to ensure that through plastic recycling, we're also able to empower a community of people who are otherwise sidelined. But with this, we're able to actually give them a livelihood. We're able to give them an identity. We're able to give them a life. And that's what's really critical for us at Garnier, that we're not just impacting one single isolated part of an ecosystem, but an entire ecosystem in itself. So with us, we have been able to collect so much of plastic, but it's been huge in terms of the number of people that we have been able to impact, with over 6,700 members of the community since 2020 being impacted, and another 5,000 more being impacted through the same program in 2023 itself. As we said, we also want people to come along on the journey with us, and hence we had set up around 20 of these kiosks across different parts of the country in 3 major cities, where people could come in and drop in their plastic bottles for a reward of recycling plastic. So this was our way of telling consumers that it's really easy to take one green step, and it's important for them to know that it's not difficult to make a sustainable change in their life. Rather, it's just a simple mindset that needs to be put in place. So now, what is your challenge and what is different with what we want to do now? So far, we've spoken a lot about the community. We've spoken a lot about what is the core challenge for us in India today. But what we also know is that 84% of young people, people like you, are anxious about climate change. Now, we as a brand, as the world's leading natural mass market beauty brand, have a duty to act for a greener future so that we are giving you and your generation a better world to live in. But given that we have this duty, it's also important for us to start understanding you and your generation better, which is why one of the biggest parts of this case study is going to be about how well you can help us understand you better. What is Gen Z and their relationship with sustainability? What are the causes that they care about? But at the same time, what are those causes that can fit in with the vision and mission that we have in terms of what we want to do for green beauty in India? How can we as a brand inspire a generation, or in fact be inspired by a generation to be able to make change? And is there a way that we can partner effectively with Gen Z, just like we partner with Plastics for Change, to be able to drive and inspire change at a large scale level? So for us, we want to focus on 3 major parts of the challenge. Yes, the first part is to understand Gen Z, know what they are doing, know what appeals to them. And then, with that knowledge, build an insight led campaign that helps one, educate people about sustainability and inspire action. It's not enough to preach, it is very important to act. The second part is that we want to engage effectively in a fun and exciting manner. Garnier is not a brand that does things in a boring manner. We want to always do things that people can enjoy, because if you enjoy something like sustainability, you're bound to take more steps in that direction. And the most important thing, much like what all of y'all have done, all 73,000 of y'all, is taking the first green step. We want you to help us identify how we can inspire a lot more people to take one green step and make a big difference in their lives. So, thank you for taking one green step already, and looking forward to many ideas on how we can inspire a generation to take many more green steps in a similar manner. So on that note, I think I will now hand back to Shweta, so that she can take you all through now the next part of the L'Oreal for Future case. Super excited to take your questions soon. But until then, I'll hand over to Shweta, reluctantly though, Shweta, because I'm really excited about the questions to come.
Great. Thank you so much, Vivian, for taking them through the case. So, guys, that was case one of the two cases that you could choose from. And as Vivian mentioned, please send in your questions. We'll take them right at the end. And now I am going to talk about the second case, which is the people case, which is on L'Oreal for Youth. So, let me just bring this up for you. Okay, sorry, looks like my screen is not up. Okay, I think I'm going to have to share my entire window for this. Okay, I think my screen should be up now. Okay, so case number 2 on L'Oreal for Youth. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about L'Oreal for Youth as a program a little bit, very similar to the program that Vivian spoke about, which is a global program. L'Oreal for Youth is also a global L'Oreal program. And we've been doing some things in India as well. I'll cover that as well. And then I'll cover what your challenge is all about. So, most importantly, what is L'Oreal for Youth? As the name suggests, it's a program that's been created keeping youth at the center of everything that we do. At L'Oreal, what we essentially want to do is we want to help young people shape their future and essentially take the first steps in their professional journey. L'Oreal for Youth rests on two very important tenets. One is helping you take the first professional step of their career, and the second piece is making youth more employable. So, if I break it down, essentially it's employment and employability. What can we do to bring more of youth or Gen Z into the workforce? And then, other than that, what is it that we can do to make youth more employable, even if we at L'Oreal do not hire them, but make them more employable for the industry, multiple industries in general? And now what I'll do is talk about the rest of the program. Now, why has L'Oreal come up with this program? Four key reasons. One is because L'Oreal as an organization really believes in the power of youth in every sense possible. One is when it comes to the organization essentially being fueled by youth. And I say that very, very proudly because it's my privilege to essentially run the youth program, which is the campus relations program. And I promise you that everyone in the organization, right from the global leaders to the India leaders, are very, very committed to having young people join the workforce, whether from campus or whether they join us externally, and be an important part of it. And we've seen that youth bring a lot of energy, new ideas, new initiatives to the table, and they're really able to make a difference. Second, because when it comes to global phenomenon, youth are the first set of people to get impacted. So L'Oreal for Youth, the genesis of this program essentially lies in the pandemic. When people were losing jobs in early 2020 because of the macroeconomic situation, because of the pandemic, the most impacted cohort of people were youth because they were the youngest, they were the ones who were least skilled compared to others who were already in the workforce. So they were the first ones to lose jobs. And when it not only impacted them, it impacted the families that they were a part of because income became a big problem. Next, because this is an important piece for recruitment also for us, because L'Oreal has always been a purpose led organization. And today, Gen Z really cares about the purposes that an organization champions. And we know that this is going to help us attract the right people who will remember that L'Oreal was one of the few organizations who put youth at the center of what they were doing when they could help. And last but the most important piece, that L'Oreal for Youth is a part of the larger L'Oreal for the Future piece that I spoke about. And it is one of the most important levers. Now, what is this program all about? Here, L'Oreal for Youth is a program that's been created to help L'Oreal as a group impact the youth ecosystem. What we are doing here is that we are committed to providing youth opportunities for taking their first steps into the corporate world. And those that we don't hire, we definitely want to boost their employability and make them more hireable, make them more job ready. I'm sure all of y'all have read enough studies or enough news reports about where being hireable is the biggest problem that youth have today, where they have certifications, they have degrees, but when it comes to being job ready, this is where there is a big gap. And this is the gap that we are looking to fix. But now, who do we want to help? We want, as an organization, our focus is to help those that are less privileged. By less privilege, essentially someone who does not have access to or has limited access to resources, jobs, tools, certifications, as compared to others who already have access to this. So and you know that India is essentially the biggest hotbed for this, because with our population and with our very young population, uh, we have not only the rights, but we also have the scope to make a big difference here. Now, how do we intend on doing this? Essentially, by acting, which is taking concrete steps like setting up a program, taking key employment steps in relations to it, but most important, the employability pillar of it. Second, we want to partner with, and we already are partnering with different corporate players, different bodies which will help us do this. And the most important piece is influencing, whether it is influencing public institutions like the government, influencing different student bodies, influencing different stakeholders that we have on taking similar steps and supporting us in taking similar steps. And the most important part of this is, who do we really want to impact? When we say youth, at L'Oreal, we define youth as anyone under the age of 30, basically someone who would be taking their first step towards employment or be a recent employee or someone who's just about joined an organization and has maybe a few years of experience only. And out of those also, we definitely want to help those that are less privileged, who don't have access to all the benefits, all the tools that everyone else has access to. What can we do to make a difference for them and make them more employable? Just to let you know, this journey, like I said, began in the pandemic. In 2020, we launched this program globally. In 2021, when most organizations were still not hiring people, when most organizations were deferring offers, when most organizations were rescinding offers, L'Oreal was still hiring youth in big numbers. We hired about 18,000 youth globally. In 2002, we said, you know what, employment is something that we're doing well at. Of course, we increased those numbers and made it 25,000, but we said we really, really need to focus on the employability pillar, where last year, almost 100,000, or rather more than 100,000 youth were impacted by employability actions. In 2023, our ambition is essentially to be bigger, and making it a part of sustainability challenge is just one of the many steps. But what I'll do is I'll also a little later talk about what we did over these years to make this big impact. But before that, I want to talk about, now that I've explained the program to you, what is it that you need to do in this challenge? Our mission is very clear: employability. We don't want you to come up with employment solutions. We want you to only focus on employability. Our mission is very, very clear, that we want to make an impact on the lives of the less privileged youth in India. And we want to make them more employable by providing them with upskilling opportunities to enhance their skills. So we are not saying that we want to essentially go to schools, because schools are already providing a lot of, they're already educating them, teaching them. How do we upskill them to be job ready? What are the skills that we need to impart to these students to become ready to take their first job? What are those skills and how do we reach out to them? How do we empower them? How do we upskill them? Right? This is our mission. So, what do you need to do in this? You need to help us here at L'Oreal influence our stakeholders, and our stakeholders could be anyone. It could be consumers. It could be, we work very closely with schools. So, how do we impact our partner schools, irrespective of whether they're graduate school, B schools, PhD schools? How do we work with NGO, NPO partners to make this happen? What are the right stakeholders for this? How do we do it? How do we essentially help boost the employability of the less privileged? And what is a program or project that we can put together for it? Similar to the earlier case, we've rested our case on 3 pillars: educate, engage, enable. How can you engage? How can you educate youth, Gen Z about this program and essentially inspire them to take action? How do we engage, by which I mean who are the right partners for us to work with, who are the right stakeholders for us to partner with to take meaningful actions and activations? And finally, how do you enable L'Oreal and the partner that you've identified to upskill you? So let me repeat. How do we educate people about this program? Second, who are the right partners and how do we engage with them? And essentially, once you've identified the partner, how does L'Oreal and the partner work together to make an impact? Right? The good thing about this case study is you don't need to be a subject matter expert on any topic. You essentially need to just want to make an impact and to help. The idea is already there. You've thought about this. Unemployment or not being job ready is a thought most students have as they're going through their own curriculum and they're thinking about those who are less fortunate. The idea is already there. How do you put it together and create a beautiful plan that will enable L'Oreal to do what you essentially have been trying to do? Now, what we've been doing so far. This is one of the global partnerships that we have in place, and we've had this place since last year. So this is just to give you an idea of what L'Oreal's been doing. You don't necessarily have to give a solution along these lines. Globally, L'Oreal has created a program called Boost, which is in partnership with Coursera. We all know what Coursera is. It is the biggest open course catalog that exists. We've created 34 courses, a bundle of 34 Coursera courses with Coursera, which are along the lines of sustainability, basic essential skills of e-commerce, data, digital, all the key hot skills that exist today, other skills on business skills, how does a business function, the financial aspect of it, and basic English speaking, because we're again talking about the less privileged. We've created this bundle of 34 courses, and we've created a program with Coursera where we give access to less privileged youth to get access to these courses, not only upskill themselves with the help of these courses, but because they're certificate programs, they actually go on their CVs, they go on their LinkedIn profiles, and this makes them more employable because any employer, whether L'Oreal or any other employer, sees that that person is skilled on these topics. So we help them we are upskilling them, and we're essentially adding CV points for them. And we all know how important CV points are for all of us. What we did in India last year is we launched this program. We reached out to 5 lakh students through this program, where we conducted upskilling sessions for them. We did a bit of a merit test because we wanted to truly only pick out the students who genuinely wanted to be a part of it and genuinely wanted to upskill themselves. We gave access to them to a Boost license. Like I said, one Boost license was equal to 34 Coursera courses. And then we actually handpicked some of these students, and L'Oreal employees have mentored them on one-on-one on various topics. And this mentoring was on topics like how to interview better, how to create a great CV, how to network, how to use LinkedIn as a tool to really connect to recruiters. So they received one-on-one mentoring from L'Oreal employees on these topics. So this was a program that we put together last year. But like I said, this is just for you to ideate and not necessarily give ideas on this very program. Or if you can find ways to really amplify this program and make it bigger, you need to help us identify who the right partners are for this and what do we do about going through this. So this was just a little bit of what we did last year. I'm going to request the team to play a video which talks about the program from last year. Team, could you please play the video? So that was what we did last year. Another thing that I wanted to show you guys, and this is something that we've not even put out publicly. This is a video that you will see maybe this week out publicly, but essentially, this is a video of one of the mentees of our program. Like I said, L'Oreal employees mentor youth one on one. So we create a little video of one of our mentees called Shashank, and I'll let you watch the video and then I'll talk about it. Can we have the next video, please?
I'm Shashank, and as a kid, I wanted to become a programmer. So at 18, I started studying engineering. But the truth is, I hated it. I thought about changing path, but it was financially impossible, and I wasn't confident anyway. Today, I'm interning to become a product manager, and I love it. That's thanks to the people who supported me in changing my career path. The team at NGO Buddy for Study, who helped me to apply the L'Oreal for Youth program that changed my life. Shweta and her team at L'Oreal, who offered me free access to L'Oreal Boost, a curation of business courses on Coursera. They gave me the chance to meet Michael, the global vice president at L'Oreal, and they handpicked the perfect mentor for me, Maharishi. He has been the most caring listener and precious advisor. His tips made me more confident in my personal and professional relationships. He told me that telling me was a great honor for him and I cannot be prouder. In a word, I found my true calling because when there is a will, there is we.
Created this video pretty much as a montage to him because of all the efforts that he had put in, and something that we could support him with to make him change and to really do what he's passionate about. And this is essentially what we want to do with L'Oreal for Youth. We want to make an impact. We want to help youth. We want to help those that are less privileged. And we need you to help us with this and tell us how can we make a big impact, who are the right people to partner with, and what are the activations and engagements that we can do. So that was it. That was a little bit about the second case. I hope I've been able to help you with that. I think we are ready to now take on any questions that we may have. Sorry, I seem to have a bit of a tech issue.
I think we have a few questions already. So I think I can take the first one. So it's from Mahindra Singh Pawar from the Indian Institute of Foreign Trade. Thank you for asking, Mahindra. In the sustainability case study, one of the deliverables is to inspire Gen Z to include sustainability in their life. And there are a lot of ideas to do that. But what exactly is L'Oreal looking to implement in the deliverable? Okay, great question. I think you need to view it from a couple of lenses. You're absolutely right. There are multiple ways to inspire, or there are multiple things that you can do to partner with Gen Z. But I think look at it from the lens of what is important to Gen Z today, what is relevant in the context of India as a country, and what makes sense for Garnier as a brand to partner with Gen Z on. So I think ask yourself these three questions in terms of choosing what is the right idea to go after, and look at one idea which can really be scalable, that can easily go across geographies and can inspire an entire generation, right? And I'm going to focus again on the word inspiration. It's very important to be able to drive one green step so that whatever you're doing through your action will inspire many others to do something similar. Yeah. Hope that answers it. We have one more question on one green step, which I can take quickly, which says, what is the target base of our one green step? Is it limited to India or to our locality or more? This is from Vasu Jaiswal from IIT BHU. Thank you, Vasu, for asking again. I think I partly answered it in my previous answer itself, but I think you have to think India. You have to think scalable. We are Garnier. We don't do anything that is small. So when you're thinking about your idea, think about how we can make an impact on the masses. Again, I'll again come back to the point that it's about partnering with Gen Z, like how we have partnered with Plastics for Change. How can we partner effectively with Gen Z on a cause that they truly believe in? that of course lends itself to Garnier as well at the end of the day. Who are the credible voices out there? What is Gen Z already talking about? What is Gen Z already doing? Can we learn anything from them? Can we actually use Gen Z itself to inspire others? These are the kind of things you should be asking yourself. Make sure you have a strong consumer understanding when it comes to Gen Z. Base your story on a consumer insight and build your story and your campaign on that.
There's another question for you, Vivian. What is the target base of our one step here? Is it limited to India or our locality or more?
No, I think it's you should always think India as a solution. Yeah. So again, reiterating, it has to be scalable, but at the same time, it has to be simple. We know that 91% of Indians want to live more sustainably. Only 3% of them actually are, with the gap being that people just don't know how. Okay. So I think it's important to inspire people to take simple but effective one green steps. Right. So I think that's again the filter that you should have. Think scale, think how we can impact India. Okay, I think that's how you need to approach the case study.
Okay, I see a question from Abhishek Sharma. Should the solution proposed include its implementation cost, ways to make it efficient from L'Oreal's profit and affordability point of view? Or do we just have to focus solely on the effectiveness of the solution, ignoring the monetary cost? So while he's asked this question for L'Oreal for Youth as a case, I'll answer it, and maybe Vivian, you can also answer it for the Planet case. So Abhishek, thank you for your question. You don't really have to think about profit and affordability here. The idea being that these are purposes that we have here at L'Oreal, which means that we are not looking to make profit out of this. As Vivian already mentioned, we want to know what makes Gen Z tick, what works for them, and what is it that they need, right? That is the expertise that you're bringing for us. Therefore, the solution that you're talking about will have to be along those lines. You have to essentially focus on what is the key insight, what is it that you're solving for, how are you solving it, how will it be implemented and amplified. So you don't have to, while you don't have to really worry about profit, you have to keep the monetary cost in mind, which means you should be able to defend the monetary cost if asked, right? um, Vivian, do you want to add to it?
No, I think I just want to say at L'Oreal, we firmly believe for great ideas, there is no lack of funding. So I think that's one important lens to have in mind. But at the same time, you need to be able to tell us something that is scalable, right? If I have to spend an obnoxious amount of money to activate one small locality, that itself shoots the idea in the foot, right? But at the same time, if it's a great idea that can touch millions of lives, we're not going to hesitate to invest behind it. I think focus on the idea, focus in getting us something that will blow us away when we think about it. And the way to blow us away, and I'm going to reiterate it again, is to give us an idea that is based on a genuine consumer insight.
Yeah. There's another question. Could you please highlight the grassroots level activities of L'Oreal for Youth besides hiring? So I think the one piece that I already spoke about, where through partnership with Coursera, we have a program called Boost, which upskills students. I think another activity that is not mentioned here, but is something that at L'Oreal we absolutely hold very dear to our hearts. It's called Beauty for a Better Life. We, of course, as a beauty organization, know this one function, know this one piece well in and out. So what we do is essentially, if there are people who want to learn how to be a part of the beauty industry, which is through maybe how do they become a good hairdresser, how do they become good at other ancillary beauty services that you could get at a salon, or there are, in India it's very common, right? You have someone who comes home for your beauty services. We help upskill them on these services. So this program called Beauty for a Better Life essentially trains people on these vocational courses of hair coloring, haircut, all your other salon services, like how do you get a facial done, how do you do threading, how do you do waxing, all these other ancillary services you get in a salon. And it also helps them get jobs in salons, because the professional products division at L'Oreal, which is essentially the salon division, and you'll see us present there anytime you enter a salon anywhere in India. We have great ties with that industry, and we know the biggest players and the smallest players. So we don't only train them, we also help them get jobs. So this is not a job that they get at L'Oreal. This is a job that they get at that salon or a training center for that matter, but we help them do that. So there are many such activities, but again, here our insight is that there are people who want to get trained in beauty vocational courses. How do we enable that? So it starts with that one small gap that exists, and how do we make it bigger? There's a
I think,
similar question, Vivian. I'll pick it
yeah.
up. Is there's a global focus on moving away from traditional education and college degrees and moving towards experience and skills, even for management positions. Is L'Oreal going to be doing something similar organization wide, and how are upskilled youth being positioned in the organization? Okay, so let me clarify. With L'Oreal for Youth, we don't want to only benefit L'Oreal. L'Oreal is just one of the many people, or one of the many players that will get helped or that will benefit by L'Oreal for Youth. Just think about the population of India, forget any other country. Think about the population of your own city. There are so many young people there today that do not have the skills to get a job. By upskilling them, we don't want to be selfish and only hire them, but we also want them to be ready to get hired by any other organization. And you're absolutely right in identifying that organizations more and more are focusing on skills as opposed to your traditional degrees, and that's exactly what we want to solve for. Everyone goes to a school, or rather, let me correct myself, most people have access to schools and access to certain colleges and degrees, but there is a gap today between what you learn at school, what you learn in different colleges that you're a part of, and what actually is needed in terms of being employable. How do we bridge that gap and then pull it down and say that, you know what, this is not for the whole world, this is for the less privileged and those who don't have access that maybe today you and I have, and how do we make a difference for them? So, to summarize, we don't only want to benefit L'Oreal from this. L'Oreal is just one of the many players that will benefit by hiring great talent. But we want to create that sort of talent, and we want to make people job ready for multiple organizations. I hope that answers your question.
I think there's
Uh,
one question, Shweta, on
the
One
one
Green,
green step question,
yeah,
maybe
which
you
I
want
can
to
take very quickly. So I think great question because I was thinking about it while I was presenting as well. So Kalash, thank you for asking this. Since you mentioned the major problem in India is plastics, does our solution necessarily have to be related to plastic, or can we think beyond plastic as well? I think the idea of giving you the plastic case study is to tell you how you need to think about an issue that is very critical to the country, but is also critical to us as a brand. So plastics is that perfect sweet spot. We have already activated it through Plastics for Change, and we will continue to work on, driving plastic recycling as a cause in India. For your case study and for your solution, you need to just remember one green step. Now, what that one green step is, what are you going to focus on, has to be completely something that is important to Gen Z, something that makes a difference in their lives. It could be plastic, it could be something else. You need to think idea first, think about something that is important to your target group for this particular case study. And we're open to hearing all solutions, all great ideas. Who knows, you might even convince us that plastic is not the only way forward for Ghana, India.
I know time's up, but I'm going to take one last question, which is, do we focus on adding more value to boost or create a new proposition for L'Oreal for Youth? Great question. And the answer is, it's up to you. If you are giving us a solution to add more value to Boost, you are very, very free to do that. But please remember, Boost is a partnership that we already have in place. It's not only L'Oreal, it's also Coursera that's doing that, right? So your solution has to be beyond saying, you know what, instead of 34 courses, you should make it 50 courses. Or, instead of a course on e-commerce, you should give a course on coding. That's not the solution that we are looking for, because that is the partnership that already exists. But if you have a solution to amplify Boost and make it much, much larger than it is, or you have a solution through which Boost can be taken to the ones who truly need access to these courses, that is a great solution too. But you will have to keep some factors in mind. Is Boost is essentially access to a Coursera course, which essentially needs a laptop. It needs a stable internet to be able to do that course, or it's something that can be done on the phone as well. It is not maybe the best solution for every person out there, right? There are very few students for whom this might make sense. But then, of course, whatever ideas come in, we are very, very open to listen to them. Otherwise, you could, of course, come up with something else that we haven't even thought about today, and we would be very happy to action on that. Great. I see that there are more questions, but you can always write to the team at Unstop and they can send that to us and we can answer those for you. But thank you so much, everybody, for joining in today. Thank you so much, Vivian, for being a part of this as always. And guys,
Always.
Vivian and I are super excited to see your solutions and we go through each of them. So we are very, very excited to read what you have to submit. The submission timeline, as you know, is the 9th of November at 6 a.m. That's the deadline. You know the format in which you have to submit it. All of that is already there on the Unstop micro site. So thank you so much again, and we look forward to your solutions and all the very best.
Thank you. See you all.